Namaskaram. My name is Ramya Harishankar. This is Dance Conversations, a retrospective of Indian dance in Southern California, a digital documentation of conversations with peers, colleagues, collaborators, and mentors. Today, I'm delighted to have G. Narendra, a fabulous dancer, choreographer, teacher from Chennai. I've had the pleasure of presenting him in lead roles in many productions over the years and also as a choreographer of his own productions to Southern California audiences. He also collaborated with me on my production, woMAN Divine, ironically, to commemorate the 20th anniversary of my school, Arpana, in 2002. Originally, I had invited Lakshman, a dancer who belonged to the same school and style and lineage, but because of some issue with visas, he could not make it. I was a bit desperate and called Narendra, and literally in 48 hours, he was here. So I truly appreciate his spontaneity and graciousness and generosity in jumping on a plane and landing here halfway across the world. So thank you, Narendra, and welcome. And thank you so much for being a part of this conversation.
Pleasure. Thank you, Ramya. Thank you.
So since we talked about my production, I'd like to start with that. So I would like to have your impressions, experience, and challenges of working with me, with my students and my company, because you had no idea what I was doing here. You didn't have any idea of my work or my students. So indeed, it was generous of you to come. But what were your, now to think back after all these years, what were your impressions?
So, as you said, I landed there and I had no expectations at all. I just knew you and Harish, and just knew you two as pleasant people. That's all I knew. And of course, we had come to perform, stayed with you sometimes and all that. When I came, I didn't know what I was supposed to do except that you wanted me there. But the baggage was that I was working in US many years also earlier. I used to come to Cleveland, teach and do this. Every year I used to do this. That was always at the back of my mind. How do you train somebody from there? That part is always there. So that of course was there. But it was all very pleasant thing for me. It was pleasure working with you people. There were no egos. I hope I didn't show any attitude. I don't think I did. And surprisingly, your students, they were all quite qualified. That was actually more than what I thought of, because I had prior experience. I used to do that earlier. The students you had, I felt, had better knowledge and they were more prepared than many others. So it was actually, as you saw while I was working, lots of things around. They didn't give me trouble, and it was not too difficult at all. It was all very good. And the only issue was with the musicians, which we knew. They came and the surprising part, Mridanga should be playing Mridangam. Instead, he was holding the trickle and playing, which was not my cup of tea. I wouldn't like that. I had no say in it. But apart from those things, I thought it's one of those very memorable time for me working with you guys. And it's cherished memory.
I hope so. I hope that everybody who comes here to Southern California, whether as a collaborator with me or as a dancer and we present, I always, Harish and I always strive to make it as memorable as possible. And also because of our commitment to educate and enhance or expand the horizon of the community here, right? So many people, in a way, most people here don't know much about dance or music. So, in a way, our job is bigger than just presenting dance or music, but really to enhance their understanding of it and the intricacies of it. And it was a pleasure working with you, and I think all of us, all the dancers, had a good time. And also we appreciate the fact that your style is so different from ours, and that you did not force us to change our style, because our bodies move in a particular way and we execute some movements. And I also had the pleasure of dancing with you. So hopefully we'll insert little videos of it when we finally edit this piece.
So even, I mean, people whom you work with, not just the ability to dance, how they behave with you is very important. So I don't know whether you trained them to be like that or their parents have brought them up like that. That was also easy. And like you said, I mean, for me, even while I was in Kalakshetra, I was never one of those guys, or probably I was the only one who never believed that Kalakshetra is everything. I mean, on record, I've always said, even to some of my teachers, I went back and said, I watched this was awesome, it was very good. They would never like it, that appreciating another step, because I actually never believed that this is end all, there is always things to learn. Mm-hmm. So while working with you people, there are things which I was always picking up. I mean, And again, as you said, Lakshman was supposed to come. I came instead. It never bothered me. That's not me at all. So overall, it was though it had to happen. It was meant to be.
Yeah.
And absolutely,
it's a happy coincidence. Yeah. And you kind of answered my question already, but you had worked with several other schools or teachers in different parts of the US. Conducting workshops. Of course, it was different because when you came to Irvine, to Arpana, it was more with a project in mind. It was not just a workshop. But most other places you conducted a couple of weeks. So overall, and I'm glad, as you mentioned just now, you're open-minded. So, and you know that how students learning in the US are not the same as in India. Everything is different. They don't speak the language. They don't listen to music through osmosis. Though today it may be the same in India, but I'm talking about 20 years ago or 25 years ago. So I think. So what were the challenges you faced sometimes when you come to teach in the US?
It was a huge challenge. I mean, the first experience. I want to say all good things, but unfortunately it was not very pleasant because I'm from this school of dancing, which is, you can say, very strict, or you can say rigid, or with the ideas we came from. And adapting to other schools or styles or whatever they want to call, it's never easy. And the way we learned in Kalakshetra, there's a schedule, like you cannot miss even small, you cannot miss a point here. You have to be, on the go. 7:15 you are here, 7:30 you are there, and how you have to learn, no questions asked. If you ask a question, you're basically blacklisted, meaning like this fellow is Adhika Prasangi. This is where I came from.
Yeah,
very structured. Yeah, that's the correct word. So this is where I came from, and you come to the US and start doing what they called workshop. I don't like the name workshop at all. It doesn't suit our Natyam, our dance at all. So, but then all that was basically survival. So I was there, and I remember every year I came, I used to have a calendar and tick 1 day over, 2 days over. That's how.
That's bad.
Yeah, that was miserable because students and parents coming saying, my daughter has learned dancing for 14, 15 years. So what will you teach? These used to, I was younger, and I probably had more temper, and it's very hard to digest because that's not where I came from. So somebody is saying, I know she has finished her Arangetram, she has done 14 years of dancing, and some others even would come and insist staying in the classroom, saying that intelligent mothers like me should be allowed inside the classroom, and some children saying, we have paid $20 or $10, whatever. I never interfered in the money because I was part of an organization. I had no clue how much money was, collected,
charged,
given, nothing. So,
but
all that was very difficult.
Yeah, one thing I've learned over the years is that, as much of a challenge as it is, but it is also a privilege, because a lot of people have no concept, no idea of what it takes to be a dancer. In fact, I tell my students, you cannot call yourself a dancer after your Arangetram. Arangetram is like high school. Just like you cannot say I'm a doctor after doing biology in high school. It's the same way. You've just had an Arangetram, that's just high school graduation. You still have to grow as a dancer. But the good news is there are so many people interested in learning. The bad news is they don't know anything. So we have the opportunity to grow their knowledge and understanding of dance, and hopefully in the future they will be attending performances or supporting the arts in some way.
Well, exceptions there are always exceptions for every rule. I'm not saying this was everybody were like this. There were good point. There were very interested parents who never interfered. There were very good students, actually on par with some of the kids who I used to train in India too. Yeah. So it was not always everything as I mentioned first, but it was overall impression was tough. But if I came now, I know how to deal with it. I'm talking many years back.
Of course, but I think also there are so many teachers. So many teachers in America now. Literally every city has half a dozen teachers of all different standards, and not everybody who is a dancer can be a teacher, and everybody who's a teacher can be. There are so many variables, and I have only invited those people to come and work with me or work with my students who add some value to what I give them, right? It has to be something that I cannot teach them or something that I don't know myself. So like you brought some value to it, or some other few friends of mine with whom I have worked. But I don't invite everybody to come and conduct a workshop here. But I know there are a lot of teachers who have very limited knowledge, and so they need somebody to come and teach them more than even their students them. So that's why there is so many workshops all over the country.
I'm glad you said that instead of me saying it.
No, that is the truth, because I get, letters, emails practically a couple every month saying, I'll be in US, I want to conduct a workshop. And I said, what is it that you're going to offer that I cannot offer? Are you going to come and teach another Tilana or a Pushpanjali? I can do that. But what are you
Truly.
going to do that's something different, that I don't know? Then I'll be more than happy to, host it. So anyway, moving on. Tell me, I don't know why we never had the opportunity to talk about this, but you were born and raised in Mysore?
Yeah. Not
And
Mysore, closer to Mysore. I mean, not even Mysore. Even a
Where?
small town, it doesn't even exist in the map, I suppose. It's Hassan.
Oh yeah, I know. We went to Hassan 2 years
Okay.
ago.
Of
Yeah.
late, it's become famous because ex-Prime Minister of India came from there.
Oh, but we went there on the way to
One
Belur
of the Prime
Halibed.
Minister. Yeah, it
Halibedu, we
used to
went
be a
there.
small
Yeah,
little town. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now it's
yeah.
growing. Yeah.
Oh.
It's-
So when
it's
did you
because-
start learning dance? In Hassan?
No. I was just born there in a house, whenever that was. I mean, 1965. It's just that my mother's parents lived there. So, like how they go give
Yeah,
birth
yeah.
in their parents. That's how it. I was just born there, but never lived there. I've lived in Mysore all my childhood till I came to.
So did you
Kalakshetra.
learn dance in Mysore?
Oh yes, 14 years before I came to Kalakshetra. 14
From
years
whom
of
did you
class.
learn?
Anybody who could teach, or they thought they were teaching. That's why that period, it's a lot to learn from that. I'm probably mean by saying it, but then see, it's like this. Some of the teachers from Mysore earlier days, they hold it against me and they say you never mention our name. So my question to them, or how I want to address that problem is, like suppose somebody finishes engineering, like an undergrad, even in India, they go to do masters and PhD, and in a US bigger school. Suppose they go to Harvard, would they give the resume saying I'm from Harvard, or they going to say some JSS high school which doesn't exist anywhere? It's like that, It's unfortunate, but it's not that I'm saying this that I didn't learn anything. I learned a lot. I mean, I learned a lot and I had to unlearn a lot. So that's what it is. So the names which even if I say you would never know them because they were not beyond this 4 roads in Mysore. I mean, those days. So but I did learn a lot. 14 years was a lot of
Yeah.
learning.
So did you want to learn, or were your parents who enrolled you in dance?
The first day was I remember playing goli, marbles
Yeah, yeah.
behind my house.
Yeah.
And my father, he said, come here. In Kannada, he said, Baili, it means come here, means vada inge in Tamil, like it was
Yeah.
that look, that expression. Normally, I know that I'm going to get it today. I'll be beaten black and blue. That is the expression normally. I said, oh God, now he caught me playing this marble. I'm going to have it now. But he dragged me to dance class.
Wow.
Yeah, he dragged me to dance class. And you're going to do this, not play marbles on the street with others. He literally dragged me. Of course, my mother was there. But I've never asked them whether it was my mother's idea or my father's. But my father always showed more interest. My mother said nothing. So I assume it was all my father.
Wow.
So he dragged me. Yeah, he dragged me and put me in dance class. And there's all these girls, and I'm the only boy. Unheard of boys learning at that time.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't stop dancing. I don't know what. All I can remember is I didn't stop. Everybody had stopped around me. I don't even know what it was. It must have been first Saturday. I don't know. Names were not. And I look around. I'm still continuing. And then that's when I was about 8.5, probably less than 9. Then something told me this is all I'm going to do in life. Even that minute, something said, I think I'm good in this, and I think I will do this the rest of my life. It's one of those moments.
Wow.
It's very, very clear in my mind even now.
That's amazing. So was your father an artist of any kind, or just interested?
He couldn't save his life singing or here. But he was a great connoisseur of art. He was a simple man.
That's great.
Yeah, he was very simple man. He enjoyed all dancing, all music, all crap. Also, he will say, fantastic. You should go watch this performance. And I had come from Kalakshetra, and I used to go for summer vacation and say, in Kacheri, we'll go there. I said, some nonsense, who wants to watch it? And he will use bad words and say, you have too much head weight. You think you're very big. You don't want to watch others dance. He was like that. But he watched, listened, and his thing was classical art form. He like disliked cinema. He disliked going to hotels, restaurants. It's everything except classical. If he ever sang, we will all run away. I mean, even if he'd humming also, we couldn't stand because he had no shruti, talam, none of it. My mother can sing, and I don't know where I inherited this from. I think it's just God's gift. So, but he was a big support. I mean, he was
So
everything.
after 14 years, you came to Kalakshetra.
Yeah. Yes.
And you were there for 4 years, right?
6 years.
6 years, okay.
4 plus
So,
2.
so what brought you to Kalakshetra?
See, growing up in Mysore, the exposure in terms of learning was limited. One was there were only so many people, but we always used to attend performances. Whoever came from Chennai, I mean then Madras, whoever came to Mysore, any program from Madras, my father will take me for sure.
Yeah.
Whoever it is, and he used to attend programs like Kamala, Baby Kamala, and Yamini Krishnamurti, and like exhibition used to have these great dancers those days, and he apparently used to go watch, and that's how he wanted his son to be a dancer, apparently, and that's what he says. And he says, some radio music, I used to dance in rhythm, and that was, he thought I will, I don't know what is true or that. But then we always watched anybody who came from Madras. We went, because there were very few, and auditoriums were only 2. So whoever came, we went and watched them perform. And the excitement of somebody from Madras was obviously more. So it was always in your back of your mind saying, okay, obviously there must be something more there than we know. But then that when you grow slightly older, like I got scholarship from state, I got first rank, and secondary education board I got first rank, first gold medal something. When all this was happening and my teacher started using me, one of the dancers, quite famous, Vasundhara Swami, she started using me to do Natwangam, and I started dancing with her. So it got to my head saying, I'm there, I mean, I'm a fully qualified dancer. So after that, I didn't want to go anywhere. But the thought of going to Kalakshetra was there at 10th standard. After my 10th standard, there's this Uma Rao, who was staff in Kalakshetra those days. Uma Rao, one of phenomenal dancer and very knowledgeable lady from Mysore. She used to be teacher in Kalakshetra. She had seen me dance. My father, anybody comes home, dance. Like, I have to dance. So, and they're obliged to dance. And he used to embarrass me and all. But anyway, she had seen me dance and said, you should not be in Mysore. And I still remember, you should come to Atte, Kalakshetra, and you're not supposed to be in Mysore learning anymore. And so my idea was to go after 10th, and my father said, no, plus 2 mudichula. I mean, first PUC, second PUC. You finish this, then you can go. By second PUC finishing, I was this rank holder, and I was dancing with my teacher, etc., etc. I said, I don't want to go. I'm already big here, And but then I realized something. I mean, for the good. I knew that it's like you can never be under one tree ever for you to learn. However big the tree is, even including Kalakshetra. If you are under one tree, you're stuck. You don't learn. Basically, you don't learn. So I knew that I was not learning any further. I was getting lenient with my teacher, and She was also taking me for granted. There was a little bit of issues of ego, paper wrote better about me when we crossed. All this, and then I said, okay, I think I'm wasting my time here. And at that time I was doing law in Mysore, and I said, that's it, I'm going. I told my father, I think I'm wasting my time, and I joined Kalakshetra. But
Go ahead. Finish.
Joining Kalakshetra was not easy. I mean, first year, after 3 months, you imagine after learning 14 years of dancing, you go to Kalakshetra and ask you from Tattadu. And for 3 months, it was only Tattadu. The first 3 months was only Tattadu. So it was beating on your right here, Nethiladi. It's like, brought you down to ground level. So you can say this is good or bad. How do you educate somebody? This is good or bad. Time will tell you that this brought my arrogance down there to the ground level, or even below ground level. And in fact, after 3-4 months, I started crying. My father inland letter, it used to come in hostel, and I read this and I'm coming home. This is it. They're treating me here. They're doing this terrible things to me. They're making me do Tattadu here. And I told my father.
It's interesting because you've learned in an institution. I mean, you've also learned.
I'll say, because this made. Now, this one point which I want to say, it made so much sense, and I can never forget. So I won't finish that. So I told him, my father, approximately about 4-5 months, I said, I'm coming back. I can't deal with this nonsense anymore. So my father said, you've already jumped into the sea. This is what he said. You've already jumped into the sea. You're already swimming. You've gone away from the shore. Now swim against the tide. Don't look back. This changed. Otherwise, I would have gone back after 3 months to Mysore. So I wanted to say that. Sorry.
Sometimes we think we are planning and we are, planning our life, but then life has its own plan for each of us, and we don't know why we are doing what we're doing. But wherever we are, if we do the best that we can and make a difference, that's what it matters,
Right.
So actually, I was going to ask you about the pros and cons of being in Kalakshetra, because for me, having never learnt in an institution, right, I've always learned one-on-one from day one.
Right.
And worked with hereditary teachers, like from the Devadasi community. So it is very different for me. The experience is very different for me. And I always, as a younger person, I always missed the fact that I didn't get a chance to perform in a group in productions, because we were always soloists, working with gurus, and they didn't do any productions, they didn't do any group work. So I really missed that, in my era when I was dancing in India. And also when I was thinking about this interview, I realized that in my generation, there were no male dancers, The ones before us, like Dhananjana or Chandravana, they were all older. And then all of you, and then there are many, many more now. But in our generation, I couldn't think of one, renowned or well-known male dancer, strangely. And so I regret not having had those opportunities. And also, actually, interestingly, you were talking about doing everything identical. With my Vadyar, we found that all his students dance little bit differently. We execute the same Tirmana Adavu, Sharakal Adavu little differently. And he never changed anything. He would just let us do it, because for him it was very visual. It was not about a structure. So it was a very different way of learning. And I'm just realizing all that now through my conversations with you and with others, that how differently we all learned the same form, And so the last question for you was, as I was mentioning, that we were all soloists. So even just being good dancers was not good enough, right? To make it, so to speak. There are so many other challenges, so many other things we need to do in order to I don't know what make it is, but whatever it is. But as male dancers, I've heard from others that it's even more difficult to break into the thing. And I know you have a lot to say about this, but briefly, what can you say are your challenges? Have you real? I mean, maybe now you don't think of it as challenges, but when you were younger, you know.
I always have a lot to say about many things. Never mind. See, when I joined Kalakshetra, as you were mentioning, there were not many men, actually very few boys. And I was one of those few boys. So even when I came out, there were very few boys. You must understand when I say few boys, meaning really boys. So, you know, like really a man dancing kind of thing. There's always so many others. Challenge at that time, I would say when I came out of even while in Kalakshetra, it was good that there were only few boys. So that you got your chances to be there on stage to do some very important roles if you were good. And when you came out, we were sought after male dancers too. Now there are many, many more. The challenge in terms of the Sabha scene is where the problem was. Sabha always, as you know, preferred a good-looking girl and etc. with the works as you. That is what they wanted. They never wanted male dancers. So even can you imagine the dancers themselves? Not you, but I've heard Lakshmi Vishwanathan saying, "Who would want to watch male dancers with without topless, sweaty, hairy, and all?" She made it sound so disgusting when I heard her. And I tell some of the male dancers who went and danced with her for her, I asked them, "Don't you have any shame? Why do you go dance with her? She's demeaning us, like she's saying such nasty things about us. She's saying bare-chested, sweaty, hairy. She's making her look so ugly. And you all go and look up to her. Why do you go dance with her?" I have asked many questions like this to boys. But then, boys couldn't care less. A little bit of 2 biscuits from there, they will go back. So that is one of the things. But now another problem is that too many boys. And I feel there is this community, if I may say this, gay community, they are all ganging up and they are all together. They think that it's their arena now. So that is also there. So from my time to now, I see many more male dancers, and it's always a challenge. It's always a challenge. I mean, to be an artist itself is a challenge.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't dance in Chennai for almost 15 years. Before I came back and danced in 2012. But I stayed away from 97 to 2012. I never came there. And now later in my life, I realize, there is a reason for everything, and it's okay. If I'm doing good work here, it's okay. It's not important. And I think it's very interesting because as you said, you had important roles in Kalakshetra, and then when you came out, you had the opportunity to work with, there is a kind of a fraternity, right, in Kalakshetra to some extent, that you worked with some in productions which featured Kalakshetra dancers, which all of us did not have those kind of opportunities at all, and then of course, then you have to move on and make something of yourself, and you've been very principled about what works for you and what is not acceptable, as you yourself stated. So I think we all, which I think we all have to realize, whatever we do, ultimately we have to be happy, right? And that's most important. So, thank you for being in this conversation, and I look forward to, hopefully some work together in the future, if you can think of something.
Sure.
And good luck and best wishes to you both, Deepa and you, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye.